me, dude. We're 4 years into the freight depression of all time. This sucks, you know? It fucking sucks, Amy.
From This Week in Trucking, this is Profit Per Mile, and I'm Amy. Today, we are joined by Jason Putney, owner of Downeast Shipping LLC, to talk about how he's running his business in 2025. But before we get into it, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an update. Thank you so much for joining us, Jason.
Thanks, Amy. Thanks for having me.
Jason, tell me a little bit about how you got started in trucking and what led you to start Downeast Shipping.
I got to get a job that I still don't want to get a haircut, you know? So truck driving was up there, you know, it was just, I never like loved trucks or like really thought about it or anything like that. I was like, I just need to work and I need a job that will hire me with this stupid hairdo. So I got started, I was working at a deli. I was a delivery driver at a deli called Jason's Deli. I don't know if you've heard of them. They got like a few more locations. And I would talk to the truck drivers that came in. Like Jason's Deli has its own distribution center, right? Like they, other companies use like Sigma or Cisco or PFG or whatever. And Jason's Deli just uses their own, they set up their own shop, it's Jason's Deli Distribution. So I would talk to the Jason's Deli Distribution truck drivers when they came in. And I was the one throwing the truck, right? They would like deliver all these boxes and I was in there just at like 5 a.m. or whatever, putting all like the Swiss cheese away in the walk-in cooler, whatever. I would talk to the truck drivers and they were like, yeah, it's a good job. If you can, yeah, it's a good job. So I ended up developing a relationship with the transportation manager at the Jason's Deli Distribution Center, which just happened to be like an hour away from the deli that I worked at. And they would send me down there sometimes. We would like run out of paper plates or whatever. And they would send me down there to get whatever we needed. And so I just talked to the manager there. I was like, dude, if I move to Charlotte and get my CDL, will you hire me? And he was like, yeah. So I just did it. I just moved to Charlotte and got a job at the warehouse, the distribution center, just pulling orders, right? Just a warehouse job. And while I was doing that, they let me cut out early so that I could go to truck driving school, right? I just went to one of those CDL schools there in Charlotte. So it was rough, man. Super hard because I'm like 20 and I'm just used to being a delivery driver and, like getting stoned at night, you know what I mean? And just, just being kind of a head. And then all that, that all has to stop, right? Like, you can't do that. My wife's pregnant at the time, right? So I just went from like, man, I was working, I think the shift started at like 3 or 4 a.m. And then you work until like 7 a.m. And then I go to truck driving school for like 10-hour days, like 4 or 5 days a week. And man, it was brutal. Anyways, I got my CDL and then I started working at Jason's Deli Distribution as a food service truck driver. And I did that for like 4.5 years. And all my experience that I ever had in trucking, I didn't do anything else at all. I did those 4.5 years at Jason's Deli Distribution. And then I bought a truck, which is, just huge mistake. If anyone that owns a truck, it's just such a bad idea. And so that was it. That's how I got started.
How much did you pay for your truck?
It was $80,000. And I don't know. I was putting down like the minimum amount that I could, right? I had saved up like 20 grand. I was like 24 or 25 years old or something. And I had saved up that 20 grand and that's all I had. So I just put like a minimum amount down on a truck and I bought a reefer trailer. So the truck was 80 grand and that trailer was like 35 grand or something like that. And, it's mostly just financed.
And then right now, what kind of freight are you hauling?
We're just doing drive-in and flatbed and some intermodal. Yeah, we're doing a little bit of intermodal, a good amount. We have, I think, 4 flatbed drivers and then maybe like 13 people doing drive-ins. And then like the intermodal is just like mixed up in there.
In total, how many owner-operators are leased onto you right now?
Right now we have 9.
Are your drivers mostly regional or OTR?
Everyone's got a different definition of over the road, right? And it just depends on. I would personally call it regional, and local, and over the road. Like when you're an owner operator at Downeast Shipping, you're booking your own freight, and so some guys will go way out. They'll go to. We're based out of Charlotte, North Carolina, for the most part, and some guys will go. To like Arkansas or like, Illinois and stuff like that. Most guys just go out and back. They go out and, you know, for like a drive shift or whatever, do their 10-hour reset wherever they are, and then they come back. And that's how I run the company trucks, and that's how a lot of the owner operators run. But it's yeah, the owner operators are kind of all over the place. They'll do whatever. You know, some of them are just chasing money. Some of them like to stay local, so they'll just, you know, they'll stay within like a 250-mile radius. And some people would call that local, and people would call that over the road. If you have to like stay a night over the road, then people consider that over the road. So yeah.
And how are they finding these loads? Are they direct customers? Do they use brokers? Both?
Yeah, both. Yeah, a few of them have lined up. You have like a ton of autonomy. Like if you're working at Downeast Shipping, you have all the autonomy, right? We give you a tablet that is like remotely managed, and we just put a bunch of tools on there, right? So we set you up. We set you up initially, right? You get a company email address. So it'd be like how do you say your last name? Chavez?
Travels.
Chavez. So it'd be like a.chavez@downeastshipping.com. And then we give you a company phone number, and we use that information to set you up a bunch of accounts just to get you started, right? So you get like an Uber Freight account, you get a Transfix account, Convoy, Art. So there's like 15 of these things, right? So these are all preloaded on a tablet, and you can just start booking freight. So whenever you book something, it comes to our dispatch email, and we put it in the system, dispatch it out to you, and that's it. And then from there, if you want to, you can just you can run however you want. If you have direct customers that you want to keep working with, that you already have, that you want to work with over here, you want to start doing intermodal, whatever you want to, however you want to like go from there, we just start you off with like all the tools to kind of make it easier on you, because a lot of owner operators, they're not really running a business. They'll like lease onto a company, and then the company feeds them right? And so if the company doesn't provide the work for them, then they just don't have any work, and they don't know how to procure the work, right? They don't know how to run their truck or like get a customer, or who even is the customer, you know, who's paying for what to get what shipped. And so you end up learning a lot. If you work at Downeast Shipping as an owner operator, if nothing else, you're about to learn.
Yeah. Do you know roughly how many miles you run each month?
Average miles. So far for the year, we've run 1.3 million miles. So I pushed that out to the end of the year. It'd probably be something close to 1.7 million for the year, which is, it says the owner operators have done 533,000, and the company trucks have done 778,000 so far this year.
Do you know how many loads you're moving weekly?
I mean, there's 19, or I think we have like 17 trucks right now, and they're probably each doing like 5 loads a week. I'm just guessing.
Let's get to the big numbers. Can you tell us what's your total gross revenue as a company in a typical month?
All right, total fleet is averaging $325,000 a month. So yeah, we're broken up. We have 8 company trucks and 9 owner operators, and it fluctuates too. You know, like a lot of people, the company trucks don't fluctuate because we just have 8 leased trucks from Ryder and Penske, right? So that's just it. Unless we add some, the leases are till like 2028 or something like that. So that's it. That's all we got. But the owner operators like kind of come and go. It just fluctuates because some owner operators have been here for, 6 years or, 4 years or 5 years, whatever. And so they'll just start to fall off, either find a new opportunity, or they're just done with trucking, or they just can't take it anymore because that's the environment we're in. So anyone is being an owner operator, then that's what's happening, And we bring on a lot of guys that, like, I'm taking phone calls every day from people, a lot of people doing intermodal that are just saying that the work has dried up. Every day I'm getting this call. The work's dried up. We're running out of the ports, or we're running out of the rail yards, and there's just no more work. And so that kind of person, we've leased on a bunch of guys like that are just kind of starting from scratch in terms of learning how to book freight, learning how to run it themselves, right? Where do they like to go? Learning what certain lanes pay and how much you need for that lane for it to make sense, Like, if you've been doing this any amount of time, not to go to Florida at all unless it's paying, $4 a mile, right? Because you're going to either dead hit out, or you're going to eat shit coming out no matter what. And that's the kind of thing that guys that have been running intermodal or haven't been running their own stuff, they don't know that yet, right?
On that note, do you know what the average rate per mile across your company trucks and also the Leased-On trucks is?
I don't really know, man. I have like a spreadsheet per truck for the 8 company trucks. And so every week it's broken down. So in order for me to get it, like go into, so there's like, we're on week 40 and there's 8 trucks. So I have to go through like 8 spreadsheets in like 40 weeks and like put it in. But my TMS said that our average rate per mile is $2.30. That seems to be like all of it, like loaded and empty. So I don't know what the loaded miles are versus, I know that the TMS told me how many like empty miles percentage we're running, but that seems to be like the average rate per mile loaded and empty.
And do you know what is that empty miles percentage? And also, are you doing anything to mitigate that percentage?
We're always trying, man. Always. So when, the owner operators just have like full autonomy over what they do. So if they want to drive to Florida for $4 a mile and then deadhead all the way back, by all means, they can do that. And so that would, 50% deadhead there. But right here, it says in January, it was 7% empty. February was 9%. March was 16%. April was 16%, 16, 20, 24, 23, 20, and 20. So it looks like if you average it across a year, it looks like it'd probably be close to like 15%.
And then what kind of insurance does Downeast provide for their leased-on owners? And what type of insurance do you need for your company drivers?
Just all the regular ones that you need, right? So you need that cargo, you need that liability, and the general liability, the auto liability, the, Allen trucking liability. They call it NTL Bobtail. And I think we carry 50,000 in trailer interchange. But this year we're doing something different. We're doing like a mileage reporter. So like insurance is a mother, man. And, people complain it's like the highest costs, everyone's pissed about it because it keeps going up. We've been successful at getting our insurance to go down every year. And it's up, but I just always switch insurance providers. I always switch, man, because that's how you get it to go lower, right? Insurance season sucks. It's like our renewal is in February, and every year I shop super hard. And so I'm a horrible customer, I'm a horrible customer, dude. Agent or whatever. Because insurance agents, like, they work really hard to get your business. And because they know it's going to last, they're going to make money off you for years or whatever. And that's just not the case if you're working with me, because someone else is f***ed up, dude. Like, insurance agents, they have the lowest price that you can get until somebody else comes in and gives you a lower price. And then all of a sudden, the original agent is like, oh, well, we can beat that price. And it's like, well, and then so I always have 2 or 3 agents every year shopping out. Whoever my agent is right now is the incumbent. They get first dibs, right? They shop me out to however many markets they have. And then I get however many markets they don't have. Or, they'll pick like 8 markets that they really think are going to give us a good quote. And then I'll get a different agent to shop out like 7 different markets. And if they're missing any, I'll get another agent to shop out whatever markets are missing. And that's how you get a lower price. Yeah, I know it's fucked up, but like that's it, to anyone listening, that's how you get a lower insurance premium. You have to hit them against each other to get them to give you the best deal. And it works, like they'll come back and be like, hey man, great news. Insurance premiums only went up like 7% this year. And my dude, that's not good news. I'm not getting pumped on a 7% increase. I want lower.
Yeah.
I'm safer. I've been I've worked on it a lot. Every year we work on it, like just being safer and safer, right? Like getting your CSA score down and being more on top of log books and scoring everybody, and just there's never any incidents. And so it's like, why would it go up 7%? It's like, well, the whole industry went up 15%, so 7's not bad. It's like, I'm not pumped on it. I want a lower premium, dude.
Talking about compliance, how do you manage compliance in Downeast Shipping?
We have a really good compliance person who tracks everything. And there's a lot of compliance, right? So how do you manage it? A lot of it is just, we use Monday.com, if you've heard of that. Monday.com's sweet. It's just like a work platform. It's basically like a really pretty spreadsheet. And it's shit for you. So you can put everybody's information in, like their hire date and their med card renewal date. And I don't know, there's a bunch of stuff that needs to like be renewed that you have to be checking up on periodically. And Monday.com will just alert you when that stuff needs to be updated, right? Yeah, compliance in general. What I have is a scorecard for every driver, right? We use Motive, the ELD, right? We track everybody's logs. So every morning you look at everybody's logs and you score it, right? So we have like a scorecard system. So if you have like a 14-hour violation, that hits your score super hard, right? Or 11-hour, 30-hour per 30-minute or whatever. And if you're missing a trailer number in there, like there's a bunch of shit with logs, right? Like if you're missing a trailer number in your logbook, it's a DOT violation. And those DOT violations fuck you up bad. Like they really, if you are missing a shipping document number in your logbook, that's a DOT violation. There's a shitload of DOT violations. If you didn't sign your logbook, that's a DOT violation. So like we're scoring all these things and they're all weighted, right? So like if you get an 11-hour drive shift violation on your logbook, that's weighted a lot heavier in your score than, you know, if you didn't sign your logbook. They're both DOT violations, but like one's a 7-pointer and one is like a 1-pointer. Everybody at Downeast Shipping has a logbook score. And so see at any given time, we do it quarterly. They're like resets every quarter. You see at any given time which driver has the best logbooks, right? Someone's at the top and someone's at the bottom. And then we put that out to everybody so they can see who is where. That's like 1/3 of the score. The other 2/3 are safe driving, which is just a drive score pulled from the ELD, right? It like tracks your like close following and harsh braking and running through stop signs and that type of shit. And it's been score. We take that score and put it in weekly, and then it averages out to whatever it is. The other one is just straight up on time performance. So you're like every driver at Downeast Shipping has a score, and it's made up of your logbook score, your safe driving score, and your on time performance score, and then it averages into whatever your actual score overall is going to be. So we know who like the best driver is at Downeast Shipping and who's the worst driver. It lets everybody see who it is, because nobody wants to be at the bottom, or even if you won't give a shit in general about certain things, you still don't want to see your name at the bottom of the list. Or you think you're doing real well or whatever, you're still at the bottom, and nobody wants that. So that's part of it anyways. It's part of how we're dealing with compliance, trying to keep people compliant.
And do you offer any safety bonuses?
I mean, we did. We've tried a bunch of stuff, and it's kind of tough. Yeah, we did. We used to do like a quarterly safety bonus where you just get $300 per quarter, but then each incident that you had would deduct like $50 out of it, right? So if you got a 14-hour violation, we would take, we take $50 out of that 300. And we were doing that for a while, but that fell off. And right now, I don't think we have a bonus for like a safety bonus. Other than, I mean, you do get a $300 bonus if you get a clean DOT inspection. So you get that, and dude, I'll pay that every day, man. It's like a miniature celebration shipping every time someone needs a clean. Those things are really important. Yeah, no, we don't. I'm still like, I guess it's like a work in progress, Right now, what I want is for the people with the highest score to get paid more, right? Like your pay has to correlate with performance, obviously, for this job or any job at all. And if it doesn't, then there's no reason to do better than anybody else, It's like my name's at the bottom of the list. Who cares? The person at the top's get paid the same as me. And so, yeah, there's a big gap there. And it's just a work in progress, right? It's taking me longer than you to figure out like what that was going to be.
And then now that we've got this beautiful overview of Downeast Shipping, I was wondering if we could go down into one specific truck, or maybe structure the revenue as to see what an owner-operator takes home. For example, what structure do you pay, like a percentage split, a flat rate per mile, or a mix to them? And what is it that they take home with them?
Every owner-operator is super different. The pay structure that we have is, so we set you up with a pre-pass, like for tolls, and an ELD and dash cam, and you end up renting a trailer, usually from Bowman Leasing. Like they book all their own freight, and let's just say they have like a $5,000 a week worth of revenue, right? Downeast Shipping takes 10% of that revenue just off the top. That's like our fee, basically, right? So you earn 90% of all the revenue that you earn, and then minus your deductions, are as low as we can have them, right? I fight super hard for that insurance, like I was saying every year. So your insurance comes out of your, and it's usually something like $200 a week. So you have a $5,000 a week, and that is actually $4,500 to you because we take that 10%, and then minus fuel, minus your trailer rental. Trailer rental is usually $100, and insurance is $200, and then whatever you spent in tolls. We're in the Southeast, so I mean, there's no tolls down there. But if you unless you go to like Florida, but yeah, so if you stay in the Southeast, then there's not really going to be any. It's a weird question, and owner-operators ask me all the time. I'm always owner-operators looking for somewhere to lease on, right? And it's like, what is everyone bringing home? And it just completely varies. There's no average. Some guys, like we had a guy leased on that was in Greenville, South Carolina. And I mean, he must have stayed within like 100-mile radius. He just didn't go anywhere. He was just running super local, right? Greenville to Greenville, Greenville to Spartanburg, Anderson, whatever. It's just right. He stayed usually within like a 50-mile radius. So he's just not making that much, He'll do like local runs for like $250 a piece, and he'll make like $1,500 in revenue that week. And that's what he wanted to do. You know, it's up to him. He can do that. We take 10%. It's $150 for Downeast Shipping. Barely worth it for us to do that at all. But it's just what he wanted to do. Some guys get after it. A lot of the guys, we run a lot of agricultural stuff during that season. I mean, they'll just do $10,000 weeks every week for like 12 weeks, right? And they'll be, you know, so those guys will bring home like $5 to $7 grand every week for like a whole quarter. Yeah, and it is, you know, it is, trucking in general is seasonal, right? Everyone makes less money first quarter. It's just what it is. Everyone makes more money during peak season, like October, November, December, because that's just what it is. You know, there's a lot more money.
Yeah.
So I would say, throwing numbers out, an average, you would probably take home, if you're not really working that hard, you know, if you're not killing yourself, you probably take home $2 grand. And if you're killing yourself, you take home $5 grand. Yeah, it's there's a huge gap there. So there's no like, if you lease on here, you'll make this amount of money. It totally depends on you. You know, if you're a fucking animal, then you'll make a lot of money. And if you don't want to work that hard, you want to spend a lot of time with your kids or whatever, then that's fine too. You just won't make as much.
On the company side, what is your biggest expense after paying your drivers?
I mean, it's got to just be fuel. Fuel's like, I've been tracking like percent, the fuel, like fuel cost as a percent of revenue. And it's somewhere between like 18 and 22%, just depending on the week. And yeah, that's a lot. The company drivers earn 33% of the revenue. So they don't get paid, the company drivers don't get paid like per mile or per hour or anything like that. It's just however much the load pays, they get 33% of that, which is good. You know, I really like it because when we're making a lot of money, then they are making a lot of money, right? Like right now we have a contract that is like it's like $5.50 a mile for 180 miles. And we do that like 12 times a week. And that is whatever 33% of $5.50 a mile is. They're making like $1.80 a mile as a company driver, right? Which is really good. But then if they deadhead back, right? If they don't have a load to come back with, then they're just driving empty the whole way back and they make no money the way back. Yeah, I like it because when we're making a lot, they make a lot. And when we're making less, it is less expensive for us, right? So it's not like setting them at $1 a mile. And then when the market shits the bed, which it has been you know, for years, then we can't afford to pay $1 a mile, whatever. Yeah, it's not a great solution. I don't like how driver pay is structured kind of in the industry in general. You know, I don't like per mile pay. I don't like the percentage pay, really. I would like if it was like pay per hour for every hour worked. But man, if you did that, then you wouldn't have any money left. You know, they're working on hours, dude. Truck drivers never stop working, and they deserve every, you know, obviously you need to get paid for every single hour you're working. And that's just not how truck it's it's a system.
Do you have any sense of what your company's cost per mile is after insurance and factoring in permits and everything?
Yeah, that same spreadsheet that I'm talking about, like per truck, I think last year, it's strange, man, because so we have like administrative costs, right? So like as an owner operator, so like we know what each one of our trucks cost per mile. And they all end up being, you know, as far as the company trucks goes, they all end up being averaging out around $1.67 a mile is what it costs. So anything above $1.67 a mile, you would think would be like profit. Obviously, it's not the case because I just wrote this down then. I have something like $27,000 a month in administrative costs, right? So it's my salary. I pay myself barely, you know, I pay myself like 60 grand a year, I think. We have the office, we have a transportation manager, myself, compliance person, and like a dispatcher. And that is, so 4 people's salaries. And then we have an office in Charlotte, North Carolina, and a bunch of truck parking, whatever. There's a bunch of just other costs, whatever. 401k matching is like a huge expense, right? There's a bunch of PTO, right? There's like a load of, I paid like 20 grand so far in paid time off this year. It's tough. I know what it costs per mile for the truck to operate, right? Like I know what it costs to go down the road, but I don't totally have it down, adding in all the other administrative costs, right? What do I need to run? What is truck? It's like, I got the contribution margin, right? I know what I need to get to basically our fixed cost, or to get to where we can start chipping away at the fixed costs. I would call that 27 grand a month fixed cost. Anything above $1.67 starts to chip away at that fixed cost.
You mentioned truck parking. How much do you spend on that a month?
Yeah, we're getting a killer deal. $850 or $850 a month, something like that. For the 8 company trucks, we're like grandfathered into this situation. Otherwise, I'd be probably triple that.
Almost at the end, Jason, thank you so much for all the data you've shared with us. Is there an ideal number of trucks you want to have by the end of 2025?
By the end of 2025, ideally 0. You know, if we could, dude, if we could shut this down and get the out of trucking, that would be awesome. You know, if someone is in the market for a trucking company, you know, dude, we're 4 years into the freight depression of all time. This sucks, you know? It fucking sucks, Amy. It sucks so good. Yeah. Realistically, probably, I don't know, 20 would be good. We have 17 right now. And if we just onboarded a few more owner operators, there's a bunch of people like looking to come on. And we're just really picky, you know? I've had a bunch of, we're like 10 years in business as of January next year. And so I've had a ton of, you know, I know it's not that long, but, you know, I learned a lot. And I've hired a lot of bad actors, just not knowing any better. And so now we're just extremely picky about who comes on. Bringing on 3 people between now and the end of the year would be great. You know, if we could pull it down to 3 like awesome people, then yeah, that'd be perfect.
Do you want to tell or share with us any of your horror stories along the years?
There's a couple like, you know, maybe inappropriate ones. There was one time I got hit with like, I bought a truck from Schneider, you know, Schneider, like the carrier. Their yard is like right there in Charlotte, and they had a bunch of used trucks, and I bought an awesome one, man. I bought this 2012 glider kit. It was a Columbia, you know, a 60 series engine. It was just bulletproof, man. Like, this truck was awesome. And the financing company that, like, Schneider gives you like a list or whatever of approved financing companies. And so I just picked whatever one, and I went with the Schneider approved financing company, Second City Leasing. So you guys, Second City Leasing, I talked to them, and they set me up with or Second City Financing, whatever it was, man. But they set me up with like a lease, which I very much know better at the time, right? I was probably 25, 26 at the time, and I knew better than to even go anywhere near the word lease, right? Everybody in trucking knows like lease is bad, you know, lease purchase or whatever. It's just predatory, right? And so I asked a shitload of questions to this company before I ever took any step forward. I was like, just making sure that it was a loan. I was like, this is a loan and not a lease. They're like, yeah, it's a loan. You can pay down the principal ahead of time. You can like do whatever. They just lied, man. They lied, dude. I had a shitload of questions. I had already bought a house and multiple cars. Like, I knew what to ask, right? And I had already bought a truck. I bought a bunch of shit by the time I was 25. I knew what to ask and what to look out for. And I asked all those things, and I got lied to, man, straight up. Like, they just lied to me. And so I put like 12 grand down on this truck, and I made like probably like a year and a half's worth of payments. And then I wanted to sell it. I was like, you know, I was tired. It was my second truck. And so I was just looking to sell it. And so I hit them up for like the payoff amount. And it was damn near the exact amount. It was damn near the like purchase price, right? I think the purchase price was like 45 grand. And I had put that 12 grand down in like a year and a half worth of payments. And they're like, yeah, you owe like 44 grand or something. And I was like, you have that 12 grand that I put down, you know, like, this doesn't seem like, it is wrong. It doesn't seem legal, whatever. I ended up having to hire a lawyer, and they took a look at these contracts, and they were like, dude, there's nothing legal about this. Like, they can't do what they're doing. Second City Financing, right? You guys. Yeah, so I got a lawyer to get them to give me like whatever, a seriously decreased payoff letter, right? And which also there's no like they're not able to provide like any calculations, you could say. They're just throwing numbers out there. It's like, this is the purchase price, this is like some arbitrary fee, and then this is the lease payments, and you have to pay every single one of these lease payments in order for it to be paid down. So there was no such thing as like paying the principal, right? Like they had said that there was. You just have to pay off this lease of however many years it was. And so, anyways, this lawyer got me out of it. Yeah, that ended up all right. It's just a headache, you know? It's just like a waste of time and, you know, mental capacity. Dude, I got this one time. There's this story one time, man. I woke up on like Monday morning, early Monday morning. It was when I was an owner operator. I was an owner operator for like 2.5 years. When I started Downeast Shipping, I had bought that truck, and I just didn't sleep for like a couple years. And this one morning, I woke up like Monday morning, and I didn't go to bed until like Wednesday evening. That was a horror story. It's a short story, but it was really up. You know, I'll wake up till I deliver a load or whatever, and I'm a solo operator, right? So anyone out there knows this. If you have your own authority and you're an owner operator, then what you have to do to make that work is not reasonable, you know, because you have to, you have to find the work, which is very difficult, right? Even if it's just through a load board, it's still difficult to find people that will work with you as a new authority. And then even when you find the people that will work with you, then you have to set up with them, which back in 2016 was slightly more difficult than it is today, right? Everyone just had like PDF packets that you had to sign and fill out. So I'd be like on my phone, it's very dangerous, but I'd be like trucking down the road on my phone, filling out like PDF files. I know I'm not supposed to say this. And so that I can book a load, and then they send it to me and I put it through my system or whatever. And then I get the details, and then I just keep trucking, right? Never stop. And then, and then I'll be like, and I remember in that instance, I'm like, whatever, I stayed awake for like 40 hours or something. I'm ready to go to bed on like Tuesday night, right? It's like Monday morning I woke up, and Tuesday night I'm like in bed, ready to go to bed, and I'm fucking wasted, obviously. And then one of my direct customers hits me up, and they're like, hey, can you do this run down to like Knoxville tonight? And I'm like, yeah. And it's fucked up, but that's like what it takes. That's like what it took, right? It was nasty. It was a nasty, being an owner operator sucks, man. Yeah. Then I remember I did that run, and then whatever, it was like, now it's Wednesday morning, right? And I picked up another load, or I went to go pick up another load, and that's when I went to sleep. I like picked up this load on Wednesday morning, and then whatever, I'm loaded by Wednesday afternoon, and I slept for like 6 hours Wednesday afternoon, and then I woke up and drove like 18 hours to like Massachusetts or something.
Yeah.
The very next day, which is also, not, recommended or legal. Yeah. It was nasty, dude. It was a lot of that.
It was a lot. Dang.
Everybody flooded the market during COVID. It was easy to make a reasonable amount of money. And so many people got in. And then 2 years later, or, a year into the freight recession, everybody's like, yeah, too much capacity got in, and we're just like waiting for it to leave or whatever. But we're like 4 years in now. And so, I don't know what that means. Like whatever excuses there were is out the window. There's no way everyone has survived this long on just this marketplace, that doesn't pay enough to, it pays less than what it costs to operate, just straight up, it just pays less than what it costs to operate. And for some reason, truck drivers, all of us are just cuffed, man. It's like we accept what is given. It's the only industry I know of where we're kind of taking what is presented. We're like service providers, right? Like we have trucks and we're providing a service, and every other service provider charges a rate, right? And for some reason in our industry, the customer seems to be able to like dictate what they pay. And I don't understand it, or why it is that way. Supply and demand obviously is there, but it's like I don't know what's going on, because truck drivers can't charge. Like if we were charging prices, no one would charge what is like the price that it is at right now, right? Is, hey, this load only pays $1.80 a mile. It's like, well, dude, I'm charging $2.50 a mile. Like, what do you mean? Like it was like, well, I can't pay that much. Like, that's what I'm charging. You can't charge. For some reason, in trucking, as a service provider, you can't charge a rate. And I don't understand why that is. I don't get it, man. We all got cupped, and that's the situation right now.
That's the situation right now. And my last question to you would be, because I kind of know the answer to this, but if you did have to start Downeast Shipping today, what are 3 things you would do differently?
Well, I wouldn't do it. I would, I would not do it, man. It's not worth it. I went through like a significant mental breakdown the past couple of months. Like this last month I've been doing good, but the 2 months before that, man, was nasty. I've lost a couple $100,000 over the last few years. Slowly, right? Yeah, I just slowly lost that money. And that, like, I don't know if you've ever lost, I don't know if you've ever lost like $100,000, but
Yeah.
it feels bad. And when you work day and night to lose that money, it feels even worse. It feels so bad. And it got to me. It got to me a couple months ago, man. It was me. I was like, yo, I have worked day and night to lose this money. Like I didn't just like let it go. I worked really hard. Someone's gonna wake up and lose this money, and it's me. What I would do different, realistically, I'm not sure, because it took all this experience to, like, some of the things that we're doing these days is a lot more rigorous onboarding of people, right? So onboarding owner operators and onboarding company drivers and setting standards, like having standards set ahead of time, right? So if you exist outside of that standard, then you have to go, right? So if you don't have all those things in place, then there's a lot of gray area, and people live in that gray area, right? It's like, can they do that? Can they not do that? Is this acceptable? Is this not acceptable? And people live there, and you set a policy, right? And then stick to it. And it's like, you're not allowed to do that. And then you have like a write-up or whatever. And then it's like, if you do that again, you got to go. And that weeds everybody out and allows you to have, like, I don't know, something as simple as orientation. If you start a trucking company, you have one truck, you're going to get another truck and hire a driver. You don't have an orientation for them, right? You're not even thinking that. You know how to do the job. You're assuming this other person knows how to do the job. And you would hope that their standards are close to what your own standards are. And none of that's true, right? It doesn't, like, it's not true. So having all your standards and procedures and everything you can think of written out and then distilled into an orientation is extremely helpful. And that way, you go through an orientation with a driver and you know that you have communicated all the important shit to them. And that way, when they step outside of that, then you can let them know. It's like, dude, I know we talked about this because I know you went through orientation and you can't do that again. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I guess I would do a million things different, but I could, like if I was going to start again, I would just have how I already have it all, like I have the infrastructure that it takes to have a small fleet, right? We have 17 trucks or whatever. And it took a lot to make that happen. So I don't know, man, I don't know what I would do different. I like what I did. I would just straight up not do it. Yeah, that's what I would do. And I wouldn't do this shit again, man. It sucks. It's not like my granddaddy was a trucker, and this is all I know. It is all I know because I started when I was like 20.
On that note, I just want to thank you for joining me. You've taught me a lot in this conversation. I'm sure this will help somebody out there that's watching us. Maybe somebody that's running their own fleet might take some tips from you and what you're doing. Is there anything else you want to add to the people watching?
I appreciate, I don't know who watches this. If it's truck drivers, then I would say thanks for, I really appreciate the work that truck drivers do. No one ever says thanks, Truck driving is super hard, man. It's really hard. Like those hours, there's no set hours, You're just up hours of the day and night and you're doing really important and no one says thanks. No one appreciates it. It's Truck Driver Appreciation Week. It's a joke. So I would just say, thanks to all the truck drivers doing what they're doing out there.
For everyone watching, leave us your thoughts and your comments below. I'll leave a link to Downeast Shipping in the description. Don't forget to subscribe to This Week in Trucking to learn more about this industry and never miss a conversation. And drive safe.